Rocky 5 was, for a while, the final Rocky film, and to this day, it is said to be the single worst Rocky film. Although I personally would disagree with that statement, I still do see where people are coming from. I just don't like when people say that Rocky 5 is a bad film. And that includes Sylvester Stallone himself. Sylvester Stallone, apparently, there's some interview, and when he was rating the Rocky films, like out of 10, he gave Rocky 5 0 out of 10. That's too low. Like, okay, if you don't like it, fine, but that's too low of a score, really. First, I just want to talk about, just get right into what it's about, because there are some story elements in it that can contribute to a bit of a negative reaction. So, the movie picks up right where Rocky 4 left off, except when Rocky 4 ends in celebration and happiness, minutes later, we realize that Rocky has extreme brain damage, and when he returns home from Russia, he realizes that his accountant ended up getting his way into some power of attorney stuff, embezzled all of Rocky's fortune for this project. Everything went belly up, and now Rocky's completely broke. Plus, Rocky has some unpaid property taxes that he has to deal with too. Now, because Rocky just won the biggest and best fight in really the history of boxing, all he would need to do is just do a couple of more matches, not very many, just maybe 3 or 4, ask for a couple $1 million above the asking thing, because he just defeated Ivan Drago, and that was such a meaningful victory and such a highly rated bout. People would give in to that. But at the very beginning of the movie, Rocky noticeably has some brain damage, finds out from doctors that his brain damage can prove to be very catastrophic and even fatal if he was to continue again. So what happens? They successfully sued the accountant, but they moved back into the slums of Philly. Right away, Rocky couldn't have gotten a second opinion. Notice how in Rocky 6, how there's no mention of brain damage or heavy-duty concussions? Remember at the very beginning of Rocky 3, when Rocky is on television, he's on talk shows, lots of celebrity guests, celebrity endorsements, lots of magazine covers. Couldn't have done something like that to help rake some more money in? So when he heads back to Philadelphia, there's this fight promoter named George Washington Duke, played by Richard Gant, who's essentially a version of Don King. Except, Richard Gant, he's done some okay performances. He's one of those character actors that you've seen in a bunch of things, but in Rocky 5, he's really not very good. He's really not believable as an over-the-top loudmouth like how he was trying to be. He's trying to really exploit Rocky and get him back into the ring and sell out to him. But Rocky knows that this Duke guy is one of those crooked guys that promises people the world, and then as soon as the going gets tough for their client, they suck him dry and they leave him when they're not worth anything, broke in the gutter. Rocky knows all about that, all those kind of people. So when Rocky meets this young guy named Tommy Gunn, Duke tries to worm his way into that affair too. So Tommy in the movie is played by a real boxer, Tommy Morrison, who is a distant relative of John Wayne. Tommy Morrison Of course, never been in a movie before, never took any acting classes, but he's really good in this. I was really surprised by how good he was. And the Tommy Gunn character, he really idolizes Rocky. And, he comes from the slums too. He had a really, really rough childhood. And he figures that by having the best boxer in the world train him, then he'll be great one day too. When Tommy's really moving up the ranks, all the focus is on Rocky. People are calling him Rocky's puppet, essentially. But because Tommy is getting all this publicity, and Rocky is essentially living vicariously through Tommy, his son, in the movie, it's played by Sage Stallone, Stallone's real life son. In the movie, Rocky's son really resents him for distancing himself from the family and essentially not being there for him, and just being so obsessed with this outsider. Yeah, Rocky really must wake up and smell the coffee and realize that Tommy might end up selling out. Rocky's not as vicious of a trainer as Mickey or Apollo or Tony. People have also often complained about the subplot with Rocky's son. I understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, how many of us have been in those situations where it feels like your father is abandoning you in favor of somebody else? The father seems to hate you. You seem to be an afterthought. I like how many people have been in those situations before, right? Well, that relatability I thought was actually very well handled here. And the performance by Sage Stallone in this one, he was great. And the final fight scene between Rocky and Tommy, great. Was it the best fight scene in the whole series? Maybe not, but whatever. The fact that I have such personal memories attached to this, that also kind of helps. When I was a little kid growing up, visited my grandparents up in Sault Ste. Marie, they had a VHS copy of Rocky V. Didn't have any of the others, but I would always pop it in and watch it and just have a good time with it. So whenever I subsequently watch it, like on my DVD of it, I always get really, really immersed in it. Despite me being able to see some flaws here and there, like the dated rap music and Stallone's performance really not being as good as it was the previous times, I understand. And as I said, I pointed out some pretty big flaws in early on, like what happens in the film. I get all that, but at the same time, the movie does have some redeeming aspects to it. Did I like this movie way more than it really deserved? Yes, I did like it more than it really deserved. Yes, I am giving it more credits than I should be giving it. I think that if this movie didn't always really suck me in, then I probably wouldn't. I'd probably just be a little bit lukewarm with this. But because it has absorbed me so much, still, I think that's the reason why I love this movie more than some other Rocky films, and I don't feel like ranking it at the very bottom of the Rocky tier, like worst Rocky movie, second best, third worst, whatever. Yeah, in all honesty, I'll admit. So shocker, I want to give Rocky 5 3.5 stars out of 4. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you again next time.